What is going on, YouTube? So coming back today, wanting to hit on a subject here that, this is just speculation, as was the LeBron James trade rumors that I was hitting on the other day. Now, what I wanted to talk about today was something that happened, was it last night, 2 nights ago, where Jimmy Butler, the 76ers small forward, maybe soon to be free agent, was caught by someone on Barstool reported he was having dinner with Jim Boylan, the Chicago Bulls' recently extended head coach, in Chicago. Now, Jimmy Butler's had some good words for Jim Boylan in the past. In all honesty, this is probably just two people catching up. Now, is this also something that could catch on for the Bulls? Maybe. Jimmy Butler is likely to be a free agent this offseason. Could he go back to the 76ers? Yes. Would it benefit him? Maybe. He wasn't an all-star this year for the first time in a while, so that is something to consider for him. I do know that his stats in 10 games in Minnesota were actually a good amount better than what he was doing in Philly this year. But he's still, in terms of advanced stats and stuff like that, player efficiency rating, I believe box plus minus, stuff like that was fairly similar to what he did with Minnesota, and then even during some of his better years with the Bulls. Now, we're talking about 29-year-old Jimmy Butler. Who knows for how long? He's logged some heavy minutes. Couple more years, maybe 2-3 more years of good production, star level production. Depends on how well his body holds up. We'll see what happens there. Now, I guess we'll start this from the Jimmy Butler side. So should Jimmy Butler go to the Bulls in the first place? Would it benefit him at all? And a lot of this depends on how past broken fences could be mended. I think it's more important probably for JB than it would be for the Bulls to kind of repair that bond that was so severely severed right before he was traded to the Timberwolves 2 years ago. So, he could be the missing piece here, where if he goes to the Bulls, we're talking about a starting five that more than likely features some combination of, you could have Wendell Carter Jr. coming off the bench and Lowry at the 5. I think that'd probably be the best way to go. You could have Zach LaVine running the point and just run a very, very tall lineup with Otto, JB, LaVine, Markkanen, and Wendell Carter Jr. But I think it'd probably be best to keep Lowry at the 5 and slide Jimmy over to the 3, Otto to the 4, Zach at the 2. And then, probably not Chris Dunn, hopefully not. Chris Dunn's solid defensive piece, but I think find a better point guard. If they sign Jimmy as a free agent, then you can go for something like a Kobe White, or if Darius Garland is still available there at number 7. Or if you want to try to hit the free agent market, great. See if you can go grab a Darren Collison or a Ricky Rubio or something like that. So, yes, the Bulls could turn into, I would say, with a few additions there along with Jimmy Butler, you have a 2 or 3 year contention window where you become, my opinion, a best a 3 seed, more than likely somewhere in the 4 to 6 seed range. There's a lot of talent in that starting 5 that I just named off if they can bring in a good point guard. Obviously, you got to add some depth to the bench there. But if Jimmy Butler wants to come back, then you got another piece there that you can slide right in, add more talent. That would just in general, the Bulls just need more talent. And then depending on what happens in the free agent market this summer, the Bulls could be in a solid position to contend in these. Now, obviously, if Jimmy Butler feels that's a good move for him, and he's had good words from Boylan in the past, he's all for that hardworking blue collar style that the Bulls so passionately talk about quite often in the front office and all that sort of stuff. So now, does it benefit the Bulls? It's hard to figure this. Yes, the Bulls need star power. They need talent if they want to get back into the playoffs. The reality of it, though, do you really want to move backward? Jimmy Butler is a passionate guy. Obviously believes in hard work. And I think that if you want Jimmy Butler to go back to Chicago, there's got to be a few things that are fixed there. Garpax has got to take an open-minded approach on the subject. They're going to have to be able to bring in some talent around Jimmy Butler. There's zero question about that. And then mostly there's probably got to be more buy-in to Boylen from the fan base. I mean, when we're talking about the Bulls, obviously it's the rest of the team, the management, the coaching staff, but also the fans. I think that you got to get more support around Boylen there. I'm not a Boylen fan myself. I think that they should have conducted a coaching search, and I think they kind of took a step back from Hoiberg to Boylen. I don't think that Hoiberg was a great option for them either. But, man, they just needed to conduct a coaching search. I don't know why they didn't do that from the get-go when they hired Hoiberg from Iowa State. Now, I don't think that, you had the rumor of Derrick Rose going back to the Bulls, which I just don't think that there was a very good way for that to work out in almost any scenario. But I do think that there's a way that Jimmy Butler going back to the Bulls could clearly work. But a lot of it just depends on how much of a pay cut he wants to take. So that's going to be the main discussion here. Above all else, you got to mend some broken fences. You got to make sure that the lineup is in a position that the Bulls can get in contention. Honestly, those are probably the two of the easier things here. Most of it's just money. Jimmy Butler's probably going to want to get paid. In the first place, the Bulls didn't want to pay Jimmy Butler. I mean, they didn't think he was a player that was going to get him to a title and wasn't worth, the supermax money. And he's not young anymore. So that's something that you just really got to face here. Jimmy Butler is he going to be 30 at the start of next season? Looks like it, yeah. So, I mean, you do have a few more years of his prime. If he'd be willing to sign for a 3-year deal, great. But I just don't think that it's going to happen with the $25 million roughly if the Bulls get that request of Omer Ashik off the books this summer. I just don't think they're going to be able to do that. To bring in I do think that they're going to get Omer Ashik off the books with what happened with him in training camp. Was it last year, 2 years ago? But I don't think that Jimmy Butler is. I think the discussions could heat up a little bit just because of how recently that was all left. But mainly the Bulls just got rid of him. He's got a ton of good landing spots that he could go to. As a Pacers fan myself, I think that's one of the intriguing ones, but there's any number of places he could go, the Nets, the Clippers, places like that too. Big year free agency, he can team up with other stars and make up another playoff run. I think that would be probably better for him than coming back to the Bulls. He could join a young core and all that sort of stuff. I don't think it would be the worst situation for him, but I just don't think it's a great idea. I think it was cool to see him and Jim Boylen having dinner, stuff like that. But I think it's a rumor to address because me as someone who covers the Bulls, it's going to be brought up. Could it become more significant here in the next month or two? Yeah. So, but also I think address the realism of the scenario before it heats up too much. So anyway, that is pretty much it. See ya.